Dummy Switch Pod, we're back.
Uh-huh.
We took a little break. We took a little
Yeah.
break. I may or may not have been involved in a fire pit accident here in Ireland with a couple of box. That may or may not be the reason I was out of action.
Yeah, we can't
But
disclose such.
yeah, some NDAs had to be signed. Certain things can't be disclosed, but we're back. Kicking off with the second round. That's where we're picking it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good to see. It's always good to see our rugby. It's a point that we often we stress that point on the show a lot. It can be a bit monotonous seeing the same teams go at it over and over again, but it's good to see Griquas and Pumas this time being added instead of Rainbow Cup when it was just the bigger unions.
No, it is, and I think what we're seeing is the benefit, the positives of having so many competitions close together. Because I think we had the Super Rugby unlocked, then the Currie Cup, but then there was a small little break, and they were back at it again. And now we're in the Currie Cup. So I think the teams that are benefiting the most here from the outset, it looks like the Pumas and the Griquas. They made a good start to Currie Cup, and it's good to see. It's really good to see.
Besides the Lions, it's sort of their weekend. I mean, the Pumas narrowly missing out, but I still feel like it's their weekend as well as the Griquas.
Yeah, true. No, I really agree with that. And even talking about the Lions, first game of the weekend against Province, I got the sense the Lions are also back on track. So as much as the Pumas and Griquas have benefited, I think the Lions have also they're starting to find their way. And they look good. Although. How they just left the door open for Province there at the end. It's like don't do that because
that Province team, they won't die. That's one thing about that team. They just hang in there.
And they have that man, Tim Steele. So you can't just leave that door open. You can't.
Yeah, let's get in depth on this one. Wednesday, Lions hosting Province. Sangweni at 6, which for me, I like him as a player, but for me, I'm not convinced, having him at 6 because you've got Chituka at 7. And I feel like they're both 7s.
Yes, so I agree with you.
That's a problem that I tend to have with him being in that 6 is that there's no MJ Pelser, there's no Yaku Creel. And I feel like those guys give a better balance. And it makes me a bit worried when I see him because it gives me flashbacks of Greenpoint when they did play him and it didn't go well either. Creel and Ras in the midfield. I'm a big Ras fan. Creel, up and down form.
Yes.
Province, Sinatla back. Tim Steele at 15. Rickes and Dan du Plessis with a bit of a jersey swap. I don't know what the motive is behind that. It was a bit lost on me.
Yeah. Well, we'll never know. Maybe the plan was for the one to play outside Rickes, but then maybe last minute changes. You'll never know.
Yeah, early on a bit of mindless kicking, and then Raz Makwani decides to cook Peterson a bit.
Man, no, that was. Look, I think one thing that we can take from that piece of play is that aimless kicking at this level is going to get punished. If you have a quality back three, dangerous back three that is not afraid to run the ball back. If you kick and you don't have the right chasing lines or you don't have the right sort of depth or distance on the kick, you will find yourself in trouble. And
I felt like Pumas also fell victim to it in the second game. There were times where their aimless kicking it came back to haunt them.
Yeah, and look, Rabs, it's so good to see him now. Like I remember there was a time where we we were saying that, he hasn't scored a try yet. And, once he gets his first one, and, after he got his first one, he's been a regular visitor to the try line. And it's good to see, that's out and out pace. There's no substitute for speed. That's a pace man on pace man. And so Jill, my man, you got to sit down, you got to sit down.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's a bit like props, in the front row there with passive scrumming, where sometimes they accuse guys of, just mailing it in, just it's your ball, you take it, it's my ball, you take it. And then someone gives you a wake up call like that. I think Sergio Peterson got a big wake up call where he just thought, it's just going to run into me. But after that, Lions getting it together, that man Sangweni going over for a try. Nice little dummy there, getting over. I think, from there, we sort of saw the positive play from the Lions.
Yeah, the confidence started getting up. And you're talking about Sangweni. I agree with you. Like him as a player. Also, just a bit skeptical about him at 6. But I think what it's saying is that he's just that good that they can't leave him out, because that's his second start so far, and it's the promising youngster coming through the ranks, and look, that awareness out of that maul, to score that try. I think, good on him.
Yeah, good on him. And I think we're starting to see the Lions pack gelling a bit more. PJ Botha, he was, they were saying he was man of the match. He had a good one. For me,
he did.
He had been a bit shocking previously, so I think it's good to see guys are coming into their own. There's good support play. There's good, once they get rolling, it's just difficult to stop them. And then we just saw the positive play, that chip over, and again that man Rabs chasing Dylan Smith over the line, but he couldn't dot it down. But again, it's just that positive play. And I think Province was struggling for territory. They were struggling for possession. They were caught off guard the first 20.
Yeah, they were, and I think the intensity that the Lions were playing at was I feel that's what gave Province the problems initially, is because they couldn't handle that intensity that the Lions are playing with. And the Lions, we both know they were one of the teams in South Africa that are very good at identifying space, and they can find space in many ways. If you look at it,
I think that was the story for the second try where Makwani got over, and it was because Sinatla shot, then Masimla shot, and it was just identification of that space in those moments.
Yeah, and look, they make it look easy when they get it right, and it's just good to watch. But then you have to credit Province for the fight.
Yeah, they came to life after that, around like that 20-minute mark. That's when they sort of came back to life, and they got a bit of 22 pressure. Augustus got over with his dyed hair. Not sure about the fashion choices there.
Yeah,
but Lions,
he's trying to reinvent himself. After his mishaps, he was just like, look, I need to change. And
like a woman after a breakup, you just got to cut that hair. I think he's having an internal breakup there where he's trying to find some new form, and it's working. It's working.
It's working, because he's quietly going about his business, and hey, look, you got to try. So you know what? Good on him.
Yeah, good on him. Lions hitting back straight afterwards. Again, it's that thing: front football, building pressure, penalties. PJ Botha got over again. And then, it was just more of the same in the first half. No territory, no possession, yellow card for Province, and Skuman got over. I think Skuman's been having some really good performances. He's put us in the lock position.
Yeah, he has been. The past 2 weekends, I think he's been strong. And I think he's been building. He's been that whole Lions pack. Alluding to what you were saying earlier, that they're gelling. I think you see Willem Alberts isn't really. I think he was injured in the first game. He came off, so you can see. I think these youngsters are equipped now to handle whatever comes their way, and grind out, not even grind out, and construct a win.
That's the thing. Like when I look at that Skuman try, on his hip was Sangweni and PJ Porter. You know, it was that thing of where they're coming together, they're gelling, they're getting the go forward ball. And I think even the phase before that, it was Chituka. He doesn't need a man on either side. He just took it up himself, and and from there, I mean, they just built and they went on.
He's the real man of the house.
Yeah, man of the house, Chituka. Halftime, same thing afterwards. Lions just back on the front foot. I think it was only sort of, it was that 60 minute where things became a bit dicey. It was around then.
Yeah, look, I think what we've come to know and see, like especially with in any sport, there will be a shift in momentum at some point, whether that be through penalties or yellow cards and things like that, and it's about you taking those opportunities. And look, Western Province, they took, like I said, the Lions left the door open, and Western Province really capitalized, and they almost stole that out of the Lions' hands.
Two things that I'm failing to mention is the Lions scrum, or the lack thereof, the Stormers. I mean, the Province scrum. Lions did really well in their scrum, and surprising to me, I think, it was Dreyer and Macbeth who previously was a bit shaky, but I think he came into his own in this one. And then even once they had made changes, it was the same thing. And I mean, that was sort of in the second half. That's also where they kicked off and was the base for their tries, winning scrum penalties.
Yeah, I think that's purely as a result of the first game against the Pumas, because against the Pumas, they were really under pressure at scrum time, in week one. So I think it shows they went back to the drawing board, and, they had to fix it as a front row. But at the same time, I think it also exposes, if you like, the Western Province sort of quality depth, because you're going, and look, I'm not discrediting the guys that are there. I think that on their day, we've seen guys like Neethling Fouché have good scrumming performances, So it's basically going from your top tier front row, dropping down to your still developing, if I may put it that way.
We've spoken about it before, where it's like there's from even looking at the Lions, you look at Dre and then you look at Macbeth on the other side. You've got a guy that's a Bok, and then you've got a guy that's borderline just finishing under 21 rugby. There's a huge gap. So I think even for the Province side, the hooker that came on for then, he did some good work. I was impressed by him. Another thing that I was failing to mention also was the Lions defense. Defense is much improved, especially from Rainbow Cup. We saw that for the second Makoni try, where they were just controlling them with their defense. They controlled them with their defense, and then Masimla let one out wide, and Ravs just lashed onto it, straight try again. That just shows Lions defense throughout. I mean, it got a bit dicey there when they started giving away penalties and yellow cards, but I mean, before that, Lions defense was good.
Yeah, look, I certainly was completely agree with you, and it just shows time. I think time together as well. It's all these the positives that I'm picking up from, I think, the past sort of 8 months, 10, even 12 months, is that the pandemic may have thrown a spanner in the works, but it's also given an opportunity for guys to play more consistently together and sort of build structures, because the Lions, it was a new sort of coaching setup that was starting to get going as well. And I think, the conditioning coach he's becoming conditioned to lead the team as a head coach. So, and we're starting to see that the team, I think as a whole, as a unit, from the coaching group down to the players, I think they're on the same page and they know what they're trying to do. And you see it in the defense. That's, they say you see a character of the team through defense, and the Lions, I think they're very healthy right now.
Yeah, after that is sort of when the tide changed. That's the thing about the Province side, where they just hang in there. Lions under pressure, giving away penalties. There was that simultaneous grounding where it could have been a try, could have not. They didn't give it as a try, and then after that, that's just when Lions just fell victim to the pressure. Ruas had a good line break there, and I think it was from that's when the first yellow card came.
Yeah.
Then Schoeman swimming second yellow card came, and I mean, from that point, it's just your back's against the wall.
Yeah. It really is, and just to highlight those situations. But for me, I want to throw a sort of a spanner in the works, and can Province continue to survive off of just staying in the fight? Because what else are they offering outside of staying in the fight? Staying in the fight, credit, that's character, but let's look at the other aspects. Why are they finding themselves in that situation where the past couple of games, even in Rainbow Cup, it's just been them staying in the fight.
I'll be the first to tell you that union is a mess. This is from outside looking in. I don't trust the coaching structures. I don't necessarily trust the players. I don't think the players trust themselves. I don't think there's the continuity we talk about with the Lions. I don't think there's the same continuity with them necessarily. There are guys fine, like Ruas making a name for himself, or Hustis has sort of turned around his form and what have you. But besides that, it's individuals rather than a collective effort, and it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't think we've spoken about it before when we say they're not that entertaining side that we all want to watch, besides our favorite teams.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, what's concerning, talking about the momentum, is the Lions have been able to maintain momentum, right? Even though, let's say, like Similani got called up to the box, and they have players missing. But with Province, the moment you take out the big name players, and even with the big name players there,
even with them,
they still, the big name players just make it more respectable looks, because of the level of play that they have individually. But as a collective, it's still, I just can't understand, how they're finding themselves in this position, after so long as well together, where you can't really see that upward curve where you can say that, okay, fine, they'll win the game, they'll steal the game here, and the thing is, at the end of the day, the win counts, yes, but if you love the game, you can see that. No, man, it's here. I think the organization.
I think it's all backroom stuff. I think it's all backroom stuff. I think there's no. You talk about development and having plans. I don't know if there's a plan there.
You just don't see it, because you're speaking about Augustus. Augustus, he's playing well now, but he's going. And I think they lose Bonambi. He's also going. But they seem to be losing players more. And quality players. Or players that can potentially make a difference. Or you can build a team around. And that's.
Is it going to be a situation that we saw in the third game with the Griquas and the Cheetahs, where we saw a Cheetahs side with guys making their debut and so on? And is that eventually what it's going to come to with this side?
Look, I think the Cheetahs are in a different position compared to Western Province. I think the Cheetahs can afford to field the debutants, and the Cheetahs, speaking about them, is a point that I noted, is that the number of varsity cup players that have come through, and the Cheetahs essentially look like they are positioned to be the optimal vehicle to really help those players make that step up, is through the Cheetahs. So I think their role sort of becomes almost more the nurturing sort of franchise at the moment, where guys can come through there, still produce good rugby, and potentially move on, and maybe they're able to hang on to a couple of players and have a good run in a competition, whatever that may be. With Western Province, I think eventually they're going to have to sort of do a reset. Yes, they do have young guys. Like Ernst van Reens is a young guy. I like him as a player and as a leader. He just looks like he's always up for it. And that's I like seeing that. And then obviously you have your Ricus Pretorius, Dan du Plessis. These are young guys. You've got Willemse is in the squad. The problem now you've got Abner van Reenen, and you've got Tim Swiel. And it's like at some point you have to, hang your hats on somebody.
Again, it's that thing with Peterson, then now Peterson's going to play 15 and Swiel was now moving to 10. So it's one of those, which again is down to coaching and what's the plan going forward.
I really think so. I don't think, as much as the players have to go out there and execute, but you can be as talented as, the Stormers are. They've got potential across the board, talent. Edo van der Merwe's, there's talent there.
Although there's whispers that he's coming to the Lions.
If he is going to the Lions, and if those whispers are true, again, it goes back to the thing is that why are they losing these quality players or these players that can potentially build a team around? There's the organization. There's, like you say, there's a lot wrong there. So. Yeah, man, I think that reset is needed, but I think they're different from the Cheetahs. I don't even think you can speak of them in the same breath. Really.
But anyway, they had a good sort of 15 there in the end. Penalty try from a scrum, obviously being 2 men down, and then taking advantage of a blindside there where there's just lack of players and work the blind side with Ricus Pretorius and De Wet. Lions managed to hold on. I think it would have been
for dear
heartbreaking.
Life.
It would have been heartbreaking if they didn't.
Yeah.
Dylan Smith, for me, he played well. He controlled the tempo.
Yeah.
I think guys just they played their part. They put their hands up. I can't necessarily fault anyone in the side. It's just once you come under pressure, you can't give away those penalties. For Province, moving forward, we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, well, their next assignment is tomorrow against my guys, the Sharks. So I'm optimistic about the Sharks. So yeah, Province, shame. They've got issues. But moving on, Bulls, Pumas.
Yeah, moving on to Bulls Pumas. Aplon gets a start. Harry Foster. Both of these guys actually broke my heart. Aplon getting injured again. Foster actually playing for the Bulls, which should have came back to the Lions.
Looks weird, right?
Yeah, it's just something isn't right. I think even Marcel could see him in a Bulls jersey. It just doesn't look quite right.
Doesn't feel right too, man. But the Loftus factor for me.
I think, it was big in this one, and it's just that thing of, at some points in the game, the Bulls are just going to do what they always do, and that's just they're going to extend the lead at some point or take the lead.
But the Pumas, what a team, freaking.
Yeah, I mean, it was generally the same settled side, which I think is a big advantage for them, is that a lot of these sides chopping and changing every week. They don't know their lineup. I think the Pumas know basically who's going to play every week. The only change was in the midfield with Moore coming in. He was sort of the only newer guy there. Matching the Bulls early on, I think they matched them for physicality and just general decision making. They were quite sharp, and I felt like throughout this game they were just one pass away from a try.
Yeah.
They're just that one pass away.
Yeah, look, the Pumas, I think they knew exactly what they were going into at Loftus. You know, we can say they're more settled, yes, but you can be as settled as you want. You don't just go to Loftus, and especially nowadays, and just beat the Bulls. You know, you have to bring it, and certainly, I think the Pumas brought it. They had the physicality; they were matching them. You know, then as well as I felt like the Pumas looked better from a construction point of view, the way that they construct, they play.
Yeah.
You know,
the execution was better.
Is way better, you know, and it is just, for me, it was pleasing to see, you know, and like you say, and that's why they were always just that one pass or one freaking dummy run away from a try, you know. It was
that's a combination of good coaching and just having ballers in your team.
Yeah,
you know,
because
there's talent throughout, and then they're just well coached.
And then they have the fight, you see, and then they put it all together. Unlike some other guys, you know, but they put it all together, and that's why they really push the Bulls. Few decisions, you know, or just a few handling mistakes here and there. They really would have put the Bulls away. I felt, you know, for a moment, I thought, for a moment watching the game, I even forgot it was at Loftus. I thought, look, we're in Nelspruit here, the way that these guys are playing, you know, and had that been in Nelspruit, I think the Pumas would have come away with a win.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't fault them across the board. You know, everybody
they played their part. Yeah, they played their part. Early on, scrum penalties again, showing dominance in the scrum, which is against front row that's got box. I mean, it's good for them. And I mean, Westrad also, I mean, like they did say he had a few mistakes, but I mean, he was getting around that puck and he was letting it be known that he was on the field.
Yeah.
Bulls, Harry Foster getting over with his try. I think this is also the problem where they fell victim, because it was sort of a kick return. And I think that was, if there was one thing I could say about the team, is that the kicking was for this try, and I think for the Tambwe try as well, where it was a bit of aimless kicking. So for this one, Foster, he just got that lucky bounce for him, got over for the try. Aplon went off. Sad to see him injured after coming back.
Apparently, it doesn't look good for him. So, you know, hopefully he can finish on his terms, you know.
And then again, it was another pleasing sign was that the Bulls were going for poles a lot, which just shows the resolve in the defense, where other times they would have gone for line, you know, and it would have turned into a different sort of game. But I think the defense was holding them up.
Look, it's just credit to the Pumas, because, like you say, the Bulls in other games would have gone for touch and try to, you know, maul. But the Pumas were contesting everything. They were in their faces. They were getting in amongst them. You know, whatever the Bulls were throwing at them, they matched. And, you know, that 3 points is basically conceding that, okay, you guys are in it, you know. And then you're talking about those tries. Even the try Cornell Hendricks scored down the short side, you know, it was just a lapse in concentration and awareness of what the situation was. And you look at all those tries that the Bulls scored, you know, I think it's the Pumas' own mistakes and own doing. It's not that the Bulls really constructed anything, you know, amazing. And that's why I'm so impressed with this Pumas team, you know, because they're finally maturing. You know, we've spoken about it on previous episodes about that maturity and ability to, you know, to close out games. This one, yes, just got away from them. You know, it happens to the best of sides, but I think they'll be better for it and much stronger. You know, making it an exciting clash with the Greek was to see really, you know, where they are. You know, but overall in this game, you just can't take anything away from them. You know, questions will be asked about the Bulls. You know, I think we're starting to see some cracks. You know,
we're
starting to see some cracks. you talk about scrum penalties. Again, it's the same thing. Okay, Lizo is a block, cool. But it's when they don't have their premier players, even when they do, especially at scrum time, they have been struggling for the past couple of months, so we've been saying that the scrum is the issue, the Bulls scrum, that's a weak point, and it showed again.
Yeah, it showed. And I mean, for me, I've mentioned the kicking. That was, if we go back to the Tambwe try, that was basically, they kicked, the Bulls reset, they found the overlap, got it to Tambwe, one-on-one. That's where Tambwe makes his money, one-on-one. Yeah, that's where he makes his money. And then going into, I mean, that made it 17-3 at halftime. And I mean, as we say, we were both optimistic about the Pumas, and you've got the commentators sort of ruling them out, saying that the Bulls are in control of this one. And I really didn't feel that way.
Yeah. The thing is, the scoreline may have looked or suggested that the Bulls were in control, but they certainly were not. And you just knew that the Pumas were going to come back. It was either going to be one of two things. It was either going to be that the Pumas were going to just crumble, and the Bulls were going to put 50 on them, and the Bulls were going to look good, or the Pumas had a choice. And if, from what we hear about Jimmy Stonehouse and the way they speak about him, he looks tough as well, so you can imagine what was said at halftime, number one, but also reminding them that, look, they can definitely do it, and they almost pulled that one off.
We saw that after halftime, and I think that's also how you talk about it can go one of two ways. There was a line out that it was on the Pumas 5 meter, and they had gone for the maul, and I think that was a pivotal moment because they managed to win the ball back.
Yeah.
In that, and by some miracle they won the ball back. I mean, other times that's just a maul, and that's a try for the Bulls. Yeah. Pumas land up, slick hands, working it through the hands, working their way up the field. That was the one where Mafura, it took up four players to bring him down.
Yeah.
Big carries. He had a big game. He kept Stravino Jacobs very quiet on the day.
Yeah, he kept him in check. Definitely. Mafura, like we were saying, everybody put their hands up. Everybody had a game. Everybody went to Loftus to play. And geez, Kleinhans even, because Kleinhans, I think he was very influential, and talking about that line out 5 meters out from their own try line. Again, it's just the attitude that the Pumas had. They weren't just going to take it from the Bulls. They're going to just compete, stay in the fight, but also know that they have the striking power and they have the ability to punish teams. And we saw that even the try that they scored, the line that Devin Williams hit.
And that again, that was from a scrum, turnover and scrum. Devin Williams, a brilliant cut out both centers, hit that line. Jimmy said he was running from the B field. That's the pace that he ran on. So that was a good one. Mafura getting over for that try.
Yeah, look, it was good play, and just seeing that from a team like the Pumas, that for me can give any team confidence against the Bulls to cut them apart like that. That's again maybe the center combination. New Harold Foster, hasn't played so
they
much.
just cut them up. They just cut them up.
But they got cut up. That's what it is. I'm just trying to find excuses for the guys. Because I know Harry's good. And so we also like Cornell. So we're trying to dust up that wound. But yeah, they got cut up. They got cut apart. And again, it's so difficult to find faults in the Pumas. The only fault that maybe you can say the Pumas is really that ball security in crucial moments, when you're building momentum. I think that's where the elements of decision-making did let them down slightly, and where there's that 1% difference between a team like the Bulls, for example, and the Pumas, that you give them a chance, or a team like Western Province, where if you leave the door open, they will take that chance. And the Pumas, that door was open. It was open, and they got close, but it was not to be for them. Although I think,
unfortunately for them, but I mean, great performance. I don't have much more to say. The Bulls just came. The Bulls just did what the Bulls do, and they managed to close that one out.
But I still think the Bulls, off that wave, they're about to hit that ceiling. You can see it; it's coming. They're about to hit that ceiling now. Where yes, they haven't lost at Loftus for this.
It's what I was talking about with the Lions, where I was like, every season we're losing a bit more of that magic. We're losing a bit more, and I think it's happening with the Bulls as well, where it's just like it's difficult to sustain such a high level.
Yeah, and on top of that, once you've been figured out, it's not as easy, because we know the Bulls, it's the physicality. If you match them with the physicality, and you look after your own ball when you have it and put them under pressure, any team, rugby is like that. If you keep the ball, put teams under pressure with ball in hand, but constructive play, ball in hand, not just one-off runners and things like that, manipulating defenses. You get in behind them, you put them under pressure, you get points. So I just feel like this Bulls team, they're about to hit a wobble. I just see it. I think that Rainbow Cup final was a sign number 1. This game sign number 2. So all I'm saying is look out. We'll come back. They're warning. For the take. No, they've been warned. They've been duly warned, because again, you must also remember there's no longer that Dwayne Vermeulen factor. They just look like a different team when Dwayne Vermeulen is there. Right.
Him and Eskom, when they're not there, because I mean, especially Nazama's playing 6, and again, it's that thing of he's not really a 6.
Right.
And Clay Nance is a 6.
He is a real 6, and you saw that. That's why he could have the game that he had. But the other thing as well, the Bulls, I think personally, is you have Marcel Coetzee coming in, and his second game he's already captain, or even the first game, because Dwayne went off and he's already captain. I understand the quality of the player that he is, but I don't know I don't know if that decision was advised, well advised, because that can cause sort of tension in the dressing room. The guys, they might back him, but deep down there's going to be that question that maybe somebody was thinking, he's close. Who was the vice captain? Why didn't the vice captain become the captain? If you know what I mean. They happen in sport, right? They happen because they're also people, right? And as much as they know that they have a job to do, it's also just like, okay, so basically the group here, Jake doesn't see any real leaders, and at the same time, Marcel feels, okay, now I have to, he needs to try being everything, and basically that cripples him, takes away from his game, and he's not, because look, I was expecting some explosive stuff with him coming back because he's that guy, but I kind of feel like that armband is a bit too heavy.
Bit too heavy. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. They've been warned. Moving on to third game of the weekend. I just caught some highlights of this one. I saw Banda and the boys. They were giving the cheaters a bit of a run for the money.
Oh, Banda and the boys. No, look, the Griquas, I feel like they're finally getting it together. Again, I think it's the time factor together with the guys. It's just, I think they settled in the pack. I think the guy that sticks out for me is Cameron Lindsay. And then there's also the number 7 flank. There's a Koma, I think. And geez, he brought the physicality in that game. He brought the leadership as well. There's a moment where you could see he was talking to the guys in the pack, and all I was seeing there was that, okay, these guys are finally they're also gelling now due to the time spent together, and they're finding their groove. You know, you cannot deny that. And then with the Cheetahs, look.
I mean, I looked at the Cheetahs lineup and you've got Tian Meyer playing on the wing, which is questionable. So, I mean, a lot of debuts, a lot of changes. It's good to see guys from Varsity Cup coming in, but cohesion, sort of guys playing in the right place, I don't know.
Yeah, and look, I won't lie, like one guy I was disappointed in a little bit. Just sort of, he let me down as Howard Mnisi, you know, because I felt by now he's super experienced, and there's certain errors that he shouldn't be making, you know, for a player of his caliber and his experience. And even the one Griquas try where, you know, they ran down his channel, I think he just misread it, you know, or he didn't slide across enough and push up enough, and to make that contact, you know, that solid contact. He just left a branch out there. It was just, it was a bit disappointing from his perspective. But again, Cheetahs, no cohesion, like you say, you know, and that's when now you see the value, I think, of guys like Andy Santsila. You know, this is now where you're starting to see why we've been going on about Andy Santsila there. He's a player, you know. Opa Mahoja as well, you know, ever since he's come back, he's also been influential, getting stuck in there. I think the Cheetahs, they find themselves, I think for now, they are going to struggle, you know, and I think they've accepted that they struggle, because even with Ruan Pienaar there, you can see, you know, there is some elements, positive play. Cheetahs are always going to be the Cheetahs, you know. It's just right now, you know, there's no synergy. That's what I can put it down to, you know. But then you talk about the Griquas and that man Edwin Keita, my man, yay.
Yeah, he looked like he was having his way.
That guy, look, I know there's an unwritten rule that the wing position in the Springboks is for black guys and colours. You know, I'm just saying, you know, for the longest of times, it's an unwritten rule.
It's an easy quota to fill. It's an easy.
But that man, Edwin Keita, he is rapid. He is relentless in contact. He's just all over the park in a good way. And do you know what? I'm surprised that nobody has snatched him up out of the bigger unions.
It's coming. I mean, it's surely coming.
It has to come, because my goodness, he had a stellar game. You know, he's just, for me, if there's a player that stood out on the day, it was him. You know, just in terms of just the raw power that he has, the pace, his acceleration, the fight. You know, he's just. That's a player that you want to see play for. Look, let me put it this way: moving on to better things, bigger and better things.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. But the Griquas, you know, you got to give them credit. In the first half, it was tight. You know, they're under pressure, and the Cheetahs could have easily had, if they had that synergy, I think they would have been able to capitalize and put points on the board. But Griquas stayed in the fight, and in the second half, they managed to really now put the heat on the Cheetahs, and the Cheetahs had no answer. That's at the end of the day, that's what it was, and they really didn't have an answer. You know, nobody had an answer for Edwin Keita for sure.
Yeah, let's move on to other news. I mean, looking at this week's games, nothing for me really stands out besides Taimani getting a start. Nothing particular for me. If there's anything else you want to touch on.
Yeah, look, nothing in particular. I think for me, I'm just disappointed that Pepsi can't play a second game as skipper of the Sharks. And so I was super happy when he was named captain of the Sharks. I've been saying that he's a future Bok captain, you know, and it's in the stars for this boy. Watch out, you're gonna see, you know. I'm just disappointed he's not getting the second game, but I feel like the Sharks, they need to back it up. Kern Bosch is back. He needs to play like he has a chip on his shoulder, you know, because as much as he's back, the Lions, the British and Irish Lions, are in town. So, and that game is approaching. So, that's the only thing that sticks out from that game. And then Pumas Griquas, I'm excited to see that game purely because of the personnel that are going to be on display, and just to see where both of these teams are and the kind of rugby they'll dish out. But that's
especially coming off of the performances they've had, it's going to be quite interesting.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk Boks next. Bok team announced today against Georgia. Talking points. Obviously, any Springbok announcement, there's going to be talking points.
Yeah.
Ox in front row. Ox is the one that we can talk about. He gets a start. Mbonambi and Nyakani finishing the rest of their front row. Mostert, he partners Etzebeth, someone that may have been forgotten. 6 and 7, we know. Number 8, Kwagga Smith, also another guy that we may have forgotten a bit. Interesting if he takes over from Dwayne Vermeulen. I think he'd add a different dynamic. Very different player, especially in stature. But I think it could be interesting to see him if he got a start at 8 against the British and Irish Lions. But I think one thing that's going to happen throughout the series is I think there's going to be a lot of changes throughout with the Springbok team. So I think we might see him there, and then we might see someone else at 8 if we don't see Dwayne.
I think Visa is going to be the guy. Purely because of I'm not saying Kwagga Smith is not physical enough, but I think you want somebody that can bring the same or close to similar physical impact that Dwayne Vermeulen has, and Jasper Visa looks like he may be the guy that's going to do it.
Yeah, they make meters in different ways.
Yeah, Kwagga Smith, I feel like it's more continuity selection because he was at the World Cup. He's been part of the system. He knows what's expected. Right,
he knows the line-out calls.
He knows the line-out calls, and he plays. I think he gives you that different dimension, like you say, because he plays to the ball, just like Dwayne Vermeulen would play to the ball and be good on the ground, but Kwagga does it in a different way. It's just that they both will be able to he can fulfill that role, but he'll just do it his own way, So I don't have a problem with his selection, but I feel a big part of whether or not he's going to be part of the match day 23 against the British and Irish Lions is going to be based on how he plays in the build-up to that. Whether or not he owns that jersey and makes it difficult for anybody else to take it away from him. Ox, I feel it's reward. For he's been more consistent than anybody else of the rest of the props, and he's been on the radar. So I think rightly so he gets his chance. I think right now the time for talking about who could have been, who not, that's past because these guys are here now. And now it's a matter about doing the job. So I think Ox, he also needs to step up. Against Georgia, because I think Georgia will always bring a strong scrum.
Yeah.
And they'll always bring the physical confrontation up front. I think they'll always bring that, and I think it's a good preparation. So he needs to step up. Bongi as well. He just needs to find his groove. Same with Trevor. I think it's a bit Mostert. We know what they have to offer. The engine is there, the physicality is there.
It's interesting because I feel when I look at this team, there's sort of a running. It looks like it's a running team. Yeah, with the forwards, you've seen Ox with how he's been playing with the link play and how the Sharks want to play. We know Mostert, he was from that game plan with the Lions.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kwagga Smith, who was also from that game plan with the Lions. So, and it's interesting because I feel like the British and Irish Lions they're taking a different route where they sort of want to be more physical.
I think we have the luxury, looking at this pack just off this game, right? I think we have the luxury of being able to play both physical and also play high tempo. I feel like we on the cusp. The Springboks. I just feel like the Springboks on the cusp of doing something great. I think I've said this before, is that we haven't had in the modern game an era where the Springboks have outright dominated. Outside of that, after the 2007 team, they had a little brief period where they did, but they did fall off a little bit.
And I'm realizing how many good players we actually have.
Yeah,
because you look at this team, and there's no Colby, there's no Mapimpi, like you're looking at this team, and it's like you're realizing how many good players we actually have.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like we on the cusp of that the mean green machine, just running riots and backs are against the wall, But yes, certainly in terms of what the British and Irish Lions have picked, I feel like yes, they've gone for physicality, but they also have a bit of pace element to it, and the pace element is going to come with their backs, because if you look at the especially the back three, the selections that they have, they've got lethal players, that can finish. Liam Williams, he cut the All Blacks apart, in 2017 for the British and Irish Lions. They've got youngsters there that can really move. Josh Adams, I think is his name, and then the Reece Zemmet as well. And a lot of the team is the Welsh guys, and let's not forget, Wales have been the one team from the Northern Hemisphere that have been able in recent times to consistently give South Africa problems, and Warren Gatland was the coach. So it's no mistake that he's got more Welsh players, and even the Welsh physical.
Picking the homies.
Yeah, well, he's his guys. He's trying to win. He's trying to go three series unbeaten. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting. But staying with this game for Friday.
Let's have a look at our backs.
It's definitely speed.
Yeah, you've got Reina, who I don't know. I mean, we've got Herschel Jantjies, who's not really on the greatest form. We've got Sanele Onohamba, same thing. We'll see what he brings. Obviously, he's quite an intense guy, but we'll see what he brings. Pollard back at 10. I would give him a go simply because he's coming back from injury. But my loyalty is always gonna lie with Ella. Fassi.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Fassi. I think he deserves it. He deserves it.
He deserves it. Him, this is the classic thing of they always break you in on the left wing or something. So we'll see him gradually move down the line at some point.
Talking about Pollard quickly, I just feel, just the same as there's that continuity selection with Kwagga Smith, as much as Pollard did manage to get some game time for Montpellier and things like that, Alton was also getting game time, and I feel he at least deserved a good look in, to start the game, because it's a series. It's a warm up game, but it's a fresh start, first game. You already know what you have in Pollard. He played in the final in the World Cup. He definitely has that BMT. You can't take that away from him. But it's a matter of saying, let's stoke the fires, the competition fires in the squad. And don't let anyone relax and think, I'm a shoot-in any day, all day. So I felt with that selection, I would have loved to see Alton start, to be honest.
We'll see moving forward. 12, Francois Steyn, good selection. 13, Creel, bad selection.
Look, I think that is a COVID-enforced selection with Creel going in there. It was. That's what they said. Amo was going to start, but he was a close contact, so he couldn't. So look, let's give Creel a chance. I think maybe Japan may have done.
No.
Ooh, shut down right there.
There's no chances. He's had enough chances. Speckman.
It's his last chance now. Okay, last chance for the last time. For the last time.
Speckman getting his debut at 14 also, again, good to see. And you know how it's, again, you know what he brings.
Yeah, I think, look, I'm happy for Speckman being involved, and becoming a Springbok. Finally, it's been, documented. It's been a dream of his. I think anybody that's ever played rugby, you dream of one day, some make it, some don't. And that's the reality of it. The only thing I'm concerned about with this selection, right, is looking at the British and Irish Lions. I don't know if, look, he may shoot out the lights and force his way into the match day 23. I don't see him as a starting wing for the series because I don't feel he's as secure under the high ball as Cheslin and Colby. It's not about size or anything like that. I just feel the security under the high ball because, let's say, hypothetically speaking, if we're playing the Lions next week, Colby would definitely start, on the right wing. Leroux will start at fullback, and depending on Fassi's performance, but I think
Mapimpi's gonna play.
No, but I'm saying, let's say Mapimpi is out, he's close contact COVID, then Fassi becomes a better option because he can play fullback and he can kick.
I don't know. I think Speckman is next man up. I really think for some reason that he's next man up. I think he'll get a lot of minutes or more minutes than we would have thought in this series. Yeah, and I think he's above Fassi in this ranks. We'll see how they perform.
I don't disagree with you, Curtis. I just feel match day 23, Speckman he has a high chance of making the match day 23, in my view, than starting on the wing. This is serious business, my man. This is we cannot afford, and I'm basing this off watching him when he played for the Stormers in Rainbow Cup, just before the Springbok squad announcement. I watched that game and I felt maybe he was trying too much. I don't know, but he was vulnerable under the hard ball. Yes, he there's no doubting his ability, but for me, it's just the security. Mm-hmm. If you any day put him Colby head to head, you go with Colby because of security, and he can kick a jump goal from 50 meters.
Yeah, that's he's just doing things that he's playing fly half 1 week. He's doing drop goals from 50 meters 1 week.
Yeah. So who's the best rugby player in the world right now? If you just diverting, if we're basing it off right now, what we've seen from the finals, Premiership
between
finals.
Simon Westraat and Cheslin Colby. It's probably Cheslin Colby.
I think it's Colby.
Yeah,
I know they've been talking about DuPont and all of that, but Colby, no, Colby's got the Midas touch. He's the golden child of rugby, my man. The guy's just he's on another level. He's on a planet of his own. But nonetheless, the Springbok squad, this team for this weekend is just interesting.
It is. Only other takeaways is the bench. We've got Visser on the bench. We've got two Yankees on the bench, and then we've got Willemse, who I think this is. It's again one of those things where it's like you've got Elton Jantjies there, so is Willemse covering? What is he covering? 15, and the wings.
I think he's probably covering 15 wings and midfield. Yeah, and then Alton covering 10 and 12 potentially, but more just strictly 10.
So again, it's that thing of Willemse is where is he gonna play? So yeah,
he's the joker.
It's a story for another day.
He's the joker. He can play anywhere. Put that card out there, my man. So that's but. Just want to go back to your point.
We're just grateful it's not Cohen Bosch that's there. That's all.
No, I second that because hey, my man, that guy had ambitions. Now, then when you look at the squad, like this team for this weekend, and then think about the guys that are in the squad that are not playing, and you're thinking, no, Kevin, you don't, no, it's not for you. Not now. You know, you got to pull up your socks, I think. I'm just saying, you know, he's got to, look, he's a Sharks guy. I like him, but he's got to show something more. You know, he's got to do more.
Yeah. Any more comments from you?
No more comments. I'm just happy that, you know, now we can get to the serious business of 2021. You know, this is British and Irish Lions are here. This is what we're here for, you know, because those guys, they want to beat us. They think that, you know, they think they're better. You know, the Northern Hemisphere always thinks they're better. And now they want to make a clean sweep of the South. And, you know, because if you look at the past Lions tours, they drew against New Zealand. They won against Australia. They won that series, you know. So they want to make it 3 series unbeaten. And we can't allow that to happen. And I think both our New Zealand and Australian friends, I think they were quietly supporting us, you know. I think so. So I'm happy.
I think so too. Yeah, and I think, yeah, as you say, we're getting to the business end of things. Business end of things.
Exciting.
Quite exciting. And we're excited that we're back. We're back.
The Boks are back. You know, it's everybody's back. You know,
everybody's back.
Back to rugby. You know, back-to-back wins. You know, maybe 3-0 series sweep. I'm just saying, you know, that we'll beat these guys.
We'll beat them, and that's it from us this week. Thanks for watching, guys. Dummy Switch Pod. Out.
Yes, sir.